So I just completed Mincha for Shabbos. There's a differentiation between Mincha for weekdays and Mincha for Shabbos. I found the Mincha for Shabbos fascinating in this particular Siddur. What's your favorite part? My favorite part is things that it's like say words like they used to say. It's like it's a little bit funny because like why is it a little bit funny? Um, it's not supposed to. Is this? Anyways, it is what it is. I was gonna say something about this week's Torah portion, Parshat Chukas. Um, the lost chapters are fascinating because what did it really say? Does it contain things that some of these rabbis used to say and then they no longer say them? You know, well, why is it in the mincha for? Why is it in there for mincha for Shabbos? You know, why did you bother to put it in there? And you just add it in. They used to say this. Okay. It's like saying, see that guy? See that little humanoid over there? That tadpole? That tadpole used to be about that tall, and now he's like claiming he's 5'9". He was 5'7" for a while. He's 5'9". And then he put on some sturdy, strong, I don't know, steel-toed boots while he was doing construction or something. So not even 5'9", but then he was like 5'10", 5'11" because he put on his construction boots. It's a dude. Some could say no offense to the ladies who do construction, but it's the dude's way of putting on heels. Like the differentiation between Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim says, "Hey," in the War Dogs it says, "Hey Ephraim, show me pearly yellows." You ain't following any of that religion over there. You may know some of the stuff, but you know, I had to wake up this dude, and he basically sleep. His name, I don't know what his name was, but he's kind of sleeping for who knows for generations. And I had to wake him up. I said, "You don't remember the Book of War?" And he had to admit to himself. He says, "No, no, he was kind of taking it easy." He says, "I know, I remember." I was like, "Good," And I'm not gonna say that a former IBMer was not allowed to officially work there because he already knew everything. Citrix was an IBM company. It was started by a former IBMer, and they didn't want people that knew too much about things. So what was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do? I'm a former IBMer, kind of in a roundabout way, and I already know most of the stuff that you want me to know. No offense to you, all right? And so they're like, I don't, you guys, I'm not gonna say that, you're still trying to do the same old things that you always did, and the people that already know, kind of like, what are we supposed to do now? Because now we know. This is why I'm working on various business activities and transactions potential for this is why I developed a thing called Star Trek. I went more into Star Trek after that. The Wrath of Daniel Kahneman with Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. That and Malcolm Gladwell and Howard Mouse, names like that in the modern era. And like Thin Slicing and Blink and books like that, and the movies like The Internship. What is a former IBM's Emmer supposed to do wasn't officially part of any Ares Greek mythology thing. I may have known, okay, just like some of the others, but what, how was I supposed to earn a livelihood from that? You know, and so I was thinking to myself, look, internship, that's a good one. Uh, Step Brothers, that's not bad, but it could be a little bit more, from a business standpoint. We got what else we got? We don't have much besides the internship. We got Pursuit of Happiness. We don't even know the exact outcome with Pursuit of Happiness per se. We got Tommy Boy, the guy who's on the road selling brake pads and things, and they say, well, they're listening to the radio. They don't know what radio rabbi, or what book to necessarily listen to. This is kind of a little bit similar to Parshat Chukas. The five letters where Rashi and I think it was a Barbanel, they agree with each other. that's a simple explanation of Tommy Boy. You know, they're out there on the road selling brake pads or trying to with Callahan, but they all know who the guy is, but they have to now go out there and continue on the successful or lack thereof or whatever of the brand name, whatever way that they can. And and so they listen to radio, they have different opinions because they study from different people, they have different scenarios, whatever. And all of a sudden they hear the song on the radio and they kind of look at that scene in time where they look at each other and one looks at the other and says, you can change it fast. Okay, you can change it. And a couple of seconds later that you see them both singing the songs how they remembered it. It's the only song that they could technically agree on. Or that, and also what the scenarios of War Dog, but they didn't want to admit it because the IBMers they were a little bit jealous with the IBM. Or what am I supposed to say? They were probably So I don't know. Anyways, and then it's like, well, after the war, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna intern at Google? They don't hire everybody. It's tough to get an intern. Even you see what I mean? Anyways, thanks for listening. Until next time. Over and out.